Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I almost said good morning, but it's not morning. It's 9:05 p.m. here in Southern Ontario, Canada. It is the 12th of November. How was your week? Actually, I'm really glad to get out here on a weeknight. That's very rare. I did manage last week though to get in. I think it was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, to get in a show and that. So, um, yeah, I mean, only being Tuesday, how's your week going? It's going all right for you? I hope so. Mine's going okay. I was hoping to do a show last night, but that didn't happen. When you walk in the door at 9:15 p.m., you're not gonna get a show in. That's for sure. So, as you know, recently, I've been talking quite a bit about the homeless situation, homeless crisis that's happening all across major cities, right across the country, right across North America and around the world. I've talked about the root causes of homelessness, talked about the economic inequalities, lack of affordable housing, mental health issues. I've talked about, the City of London's decision not to fund additional beds or pop-up shelters. Now, things that we can do, obviously, there are. Talk about the importance of policy, advocacy, and public pressure. Share ways listeners can get involved by attending city council meetings and supporting local organizations. So, some questions for you. Your personal perspectives. What are your initial thoughts when you see a homeless person? How do you think these perceptions have been shaped? What do you think are the most effective ways for community to support homeless individuals? Because when we have these discussions and we have these town hall meetings, and the most recent one that I mentioned to you before, when um, business sector, the community sector came along, um, people from the social agencies were there to listen. People voice their opinions. And what I got out of it just by reading about it was community and business want to push the agencies and the homeless out of the downtown core. not willing to support it because of their quality of life. Policy and advocacy. In your opinion, what policies should be prioritized to address homelessness in your city? Well, for me, I am disappointed, like a lot of people are disappointed, where the City of London has voted on any funding coming from the government is not going to the services to extend any more services or add any more services to the homelessness in the downtown core. Have you ever volunteered or supported a homeless shelter or organization? And if you have, what was your experience like? Now, I talked about that. I talked about when I volunteered at the Unity Project, a homeless shelter. From seeing people in their late teens, young adults, all the way to older adults with many different types of challenges, physically, mentally, addiction. What initiative solutions do you think could help provide better support and housing for homeless individuals? Innovative solutions do you think could help provide better support and housing for homeless individuals? Here in London, Ontario, we have made baby steps on some innovative solutions, but haven't solved it. Funding for more beds in the meantime would be one of mine. Opening up, if there's any empty stores or whatever, owners could be helping, or the landlords who own those buildings could be helping to bring people in out of the cold just for the night. Even going out with people who go out to support the homeless people. To help hand out food, clothing, blankets, and things like that. Excuse me. What are some of the common stereotypes about homeless people that you think need to be changed? Well, we look at the stigma and the misconceptions. All that ideology needs to change. That would be my answer. Do you have any personal stories or experience related to homelessness that you would like to share? What kind of support systems do you believe are most lacking for homeless individuals in your community? More places for rest would be helpful. More services to address their health needs, more services to address their addiction needs, more service to address their mental illness needs. Should we be keeping the safe injection sites open? I believe that we should be. Harm reduction. And like I've talked about this before, mayors across the province are calling on the provincial government to invoke the notwithstanding clause to have people involuntarily removed from the streets and put into treatment for mental illness and addiction. Is that a solution? And what type of plan would they have upon release for these individuals? Are we going to have enough shelters? Are we going to have enough places where they can call home? Are we going to have enough places where they can call home with wraparound supports to continue to help them? I think maybe the mayors think that having involuntary treatment, they think this is a path out of homelessness and this is going to solve the problem. Economic factors. How do you think economic factors like job availability and housing costs contribute to homelessness? Well, the housing cost, for one, and it's placing a lot of people in jeopardy of losing their homes. A job availability. Well, first we have to have the housing first model. We first have to get them into housing. And then we have to address their situation. We have to look at the root causes of that individual circumstances of why they become homeless in the first place. And do they have an addiction problem? And do they have a mental illness problem? Because not everybody who is homeless has a mental illness or addiction problem. But this is what we see on the streets, right? So then we just foster that thought. Oh, everybody homeless has a mental illness and addiction problem. And that's not the case. And are you aware of any local resources or programs that support homeless individuals, and how effective do you think they are? Well, we have places like the Arcade. We have places like the Inner Community Center. We have homeless shelter, women's shelters. How effective are they? Well, they're an effective way of giving them a place to sleep. They're an effective way of giving them a meal. They're effective in a way of um, connecting them to other supports. Now, you don't have to answer the questions right away. You can give them some thought, and you can leave a message on my podcast. Through this podcast, your insights and experience can add valuable perspectives, and that we can foster more inclusive and supportive community decisions. Now, you know, we do really need um, a call to action. We definitely need that. If you can, support local organizations, get involved in advocacy efforts, spread awareness about homelessness in your communities. We can do public campaigns, launch public awareness campaigns that highlight the importance of addressing homelessness and encourage community support. Policy and advocacy. We can advocate for policies that increase funding for affordable housing, mental health services, and addiction treatment. We can attend city council meetings and engage with local officials, but you have to do it in a manner of being respectful. You can form coalitions for nonprofits, advocacy groups, and community members to coordinate efforts and share resources. And we can work with faith-based initiatives and work with faith-based organizations to provide shelter, meals, and support services. Many religious communities have the resources and volunteers to make a significant impact. Local business partnership, partner with local business to create employment opportunities and support servicing the homeless individuals. Seem to have a problem with that right now here in the city of London, where these local businesses who are in the core of the homeless, so that they're not looking to support the homeless. They're looking to support themselves, looking out for themselves. We can put together winter survival kits. We get together thermal blankets, hand warmers, socks, hats, gloves. Now, we already do have the mobile health clinics, and I think they should be out there more often. And having these to deploy mobile health clinics that offer medical, mental health, and addiction services directly to homeless individuals. Can have host home program, develop a host home program where community members volunteers to temporarily house individuals transitioning out of homelessness. Transitional housing, we can advocate for transitional housing solutions that bridge the gap between homelessness and permanent housings. That these could include shared housing models or repurposing vacant buildings. Well, I can say the City of London is working on one right now, repurposing a building. It's going to take some time. The building's very old. It was probably built back in the 50s or 60s or like that. It's probably full of asbestos. But they're working on it. It sat vacant for many years. We could have probably done this a few years ago, but we didn't. The day shelters and safe spaces. See, that's what the Unity, or not the Unity Project, the arcade is a day shelter. They're open where they can find safe spaces where homeless individuals can find warmth, charge their phones if they have one, access to internet, and receive basic medical care. Well, we have the Inner Community Center just up the road from there where they can do that, where they can get a hot refreshment, coffee, tea, water, snacks. You can work with community services in the street outreach program to strengthen the street outreach program and provide direct assistance such as food, blankets, and warm clothing. And volunteers can also offer information about available resources. We can also work to do petitions and campaigns. Start petitions demanding increased support for homeless services. We can collect signatures and present them to local officials to demonstrate community support. We can engage with the local media, work with local journalists and media outlets to highlight the issue and put public pressure on the city to reconsider its funding decisions. Op-eds, news articles, and interviews can be effective tools. We can also create a network of volunteers who can provide support such as distributing food, clothing, and blankets. Again, we can be doing this. We can have community events and fundraisers, organize events like charity walks, benefit concerts, or community dinners to raise awareness and funds. And these events can also serve as platforms to educate the public about homelessness. Engage with the local government. Write letters. And me, I'm using my podcast and social media platforms to highlight the urgent need for adequate shelter during the winter months and working on other small projects. You know, the growing demand, the number of people experiencing homelessness continues to rise, and it's outpacing the city's ability to provide adequate support and housing. And it doesn't help when we get pushback from community and businesses. We're all should be working in partnership and trying to solve homelessness. And as the cities are still waiting for the federal funding to support its homeless initiatives, which has delayed the implementations of some programs. I don't know if they're waiting for the first day of winter to arrive and then send out the money. I have no idea. the insufficient housing, and there's a significant shortage of affordable housing. Why? Because big corporations are buying up all these older properties and looking at doing rental evictions only to get the people out who are paying less than market rent and to get people in there to pay market rent and above. That's not helping neither. Right? And despite London, Ontario's efforts to address it, several factors contribute to the persistence of encampments. Even tonight, the Men's Mission, the Unity Project, and even the Arcade, all those spaces will be full. And there's still going to be quite a few people who are be left out in the cold because there is no other place to sleep. And that is every night. And even when I volunteered back in 2015, 2016 at the Unity Project, the homeless shelter, the men's dorm was full, the women's dorm was full, and every cot was taken every single night. And people were being turned away because they didn't have any more space. Because they've already been to the men's mission and they had no space. Women's shelters are full. Second house staging is full. It's like a stalemate in a checker game or a chess game where you just can't make a move. You make that move, you know that you're going to lose. Community partnerships. See, the service depots, we can set up these near the homeless encampments to provide essential services such as toilets, food, water, housing support. They're out there every single day. People are out there providing this every single day. Now, here in the city, we were looking on creating 3 homeless hubs. All 3 fell through. Why do you think that happened? Not my backyard comes in mind. Right? Because it was supposed to provide round-the-clock services to the most vulnerable population, including women, youth, and Indigenous people. And these hubs are designed to offer healthcare, basic necessities, and support services with the goal of transitioning individuals into stable housing. There is a radio station that was, well, I think it was CJBK. It was ever since I was a kid. That radio station closed. and the owner of the property and that wanted to, offering it as one of the homeless hubs. Well, business and community didn't want that there. See, because I always thought we were all supposed to be in partnership. Community and business, we work together, right? Businesses support communities. Well, places like the Arcade and the Unity Project and the Mission Services are all in the community, and we should be all working collectively and get along with one another and support the homeless. Now, you've maybe been on my show before, and I've talked about this before. What kind of irks me, look, first and foremost, I understand businesses have to, they have to grow, they have to succeed. I get that. So what irks me about the Downtown Business Association is that they're concerned, about their lifestyle. Well, they can be concerned all they want while you're sitting in your homes, roof over your head, your quality of life. Another thing that really irked me the other day when the city of London said that any monies coming from the $235 million from the government will not go to any more pop-up shelters or rest places for the homeless. And I thought we were supposed to be working on ending homeless. And we have, I don't know, 100 people out there sleeping rough every night. Could even be more. The Arcade was looking for extra funding to carry into the next year to get through the winter months, to offer shelter, because generally that's not what the Arcade was or is. The Arcade was a rest stop, daytime, where people can go and get coffee and tea and snacks at lunchtime. Offer a dinner. They offer dinner every single night, starting at 5 o'clock. There's agencies and groups that donate their time and bring food to the Arcade. Even pizza places or a church group will get together and they'll go and buy a bunch of pizzas, and that'd be a treat for individuals who visit the Arcade on a regular basis. But they get meals every single night. I know this because I had volunteered there as well. So these homeless hubs, they didn't go through. So we need continuous engagement. And this is why I continue to engage in this conversation, right? Plan follow up events and activities to keep the momentum going and continue advocating for change. Now, the other day, I sent an email out to the CEO of the arcade. She probably gets hundreds of emails every single day, and I understand that. I mean, if I don't check my emails, I probably end up with 200 emails. But anyways, when you're a CEO of an organization, you got to go through a whole pile of emails. So I'm just waiting patiently to have her as a guest speaker here on the Truckers Podcast. Right. So planning and organizations too, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, develop a clear and compelling message that highlights the goals of whatever, if you're gonna have a sit-in, some sort of a, peaceful protest, use slogans like truckers for homes, end homelessness now. Now, so I do like regular updates, right? To keep my audience engaged with the regular updates leading up to the episode release and all that stuff. Now, I want to go back to it. I was just scrolling back here. I got to go all the way down to the bottom. It might take me a second here. Oh, here we go. Now, at the start of my show, I have some questions for you. You don't have to answer them right now. You can leave a comment or an answer to one of the questions or a couple of the questions. Come back on my show and tell me. That'll be fine. But I'll go back over the questions again. This is for you, the listeners. What are your initial thoughts when you see a homeless person? How do you think these perceptions have been shaped? What do you think are the most effective ways for the community to support homeless individuals? In your opinion, what policies should be prioritized to address homelessness in your city? Have you ever volunteered or supported a homeless shelter or organization? And if you have, what was your experience like? What innovative solutions do you think could help provide better support and housing for homeless individuals? What are some common stereotypes about homeless people that you think need to be challenged? Do you have any personal stories or experiences related to homelessness that you would like to share? What kind of support systems do you believe are most lacking for homeless individuals in your community? How do you think economic factors like job availability and housing costs contribute to homelessness? And are you aware of any local resources or programs that support homeless individuals? How effective do you think they are? I'll leave that with you. If you'd like to answer those questions, you're more than free to answer those questions. Like I said, you can leave your answer in a comment. You can think about some of those questions. You can think about those questions. Come back on my show and maybe have a couple of answers. Because I want to engage you as well, my listeners. I got an email today, 2 emails actually. I don't know why they came in separate, from Podbean, saying congratulations to 500 hours of the Truckers Podcast. And congratulations to 5,000 plus listeners. I can't do it without you. I can't do that without listeners, right? That's why I appreciate my listeners. And I tell my listeners that, because I'm the host. I sit behind the microphone with the headphones on. You're the listeners. And without you, there would be no podcast. I'm happy, like tonight, 3 people coming on listening to the Truckers Podcast. Sometimes I get 5, sometimes I get 6, sometimes it gets 10. It's sporadic all over the place. But I'm okay with that. So think about those questions that I asked you. And for the individual just come on the show now, at the beginning of the show, I asked those same questions, and I just did it now for the end of the show. So you'll get a chance to listen to it. But I'm going to publish the show right as soon as I'm done here. I like to stay out here a little bit more longer to talk to you. But I already looked at my driver itinerary for tomorrow. I'm hoping to be out here tomorrow night. That's what I'm hoping for. Last night was Monday. I walked in my front door just after 9 p.m. from work. Started at 6 o'clock in the morning. Got back to the trucking yard at 8 o'clock. Now I got to commute 50 minutes each way and then drive home. I said earlier too when I started the show that, last week I got in a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday show. That's very, very rare, next to nil that ever, I don't normally do it, but I just feel that, just doing a show on a Saturday and Sunday mornings, I want to get out and do more shows. But being home so late last night, that just wasn't possible. And being home earlier this evening, like at 5:45, it's acceptable to be home at that time. And not feeling fatigued, I can come out here and do a show. I worry about posting a show up for the next night and then not being able to make it because, if you follow me, you get a notification that there's an episode scheduled for a day and time. And then when the show's going to be starting, you'll click on the Truckers Podcast FYI, and it hasn't commenced yet. 15 minutes goes by, 20 minutes goes by. It's because I didn't make it back on time. So I'm worried about tomorrow if I post it And am I gonna be back? Am I gonna be, you know, not too fatigued to do the show? I'll post one anyways. I will put up an episode. And to be safe, I think whether to be safe or not, or I don't know, maybe post it for 9:30 PM. I think that's probably what I'll do for 9:30 PM. So, like I said at the beginning of the show, I asked, I don't know, there was, oh, how many? I think there was 10 questions. You don't have to answer them all. I asked the 10 questions at the beginning of the show and then near the end ago, like 5 minutes ago. So once it takes minutes to publish this episode, and you'll be able to go back and listen to it and be able to listen to the questions. And like I said, you can leave a comment or return back to the show and maybe have a couple of answers to those questions. That'd be great because I want, like I said too, I want to engage you, the listeners. So that's it for tonight. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy the rest of your week. If you can join me, that's great. If you can't, I understand. But until the next time, take care, everyone. And thank you for listening to the Truckers Podcast, FYI. I'm your host, Doug from Ontario, Canada. Good night, everyone.